Why is it so important that we need to feel a sense of belonging? Why, as a human being, do we need to belong?
In a blank state, knowing no one, you try to find, hey, where's my group? You want to share that place, memory with this person so that you kind of belong together.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 9. Today is the 27th of May 2022. It is a Friday. At the moment, it's about 3:11 p.m. in the afternoon. And we are here in the beautiful East Coast part of Singapore. As you can hear, the winds are super strong. There's lots of activity going on here. It's a Friday afternoon, so people are kind of like out and about. Episode 9 today. Michael, how are you?
Good, feeling good today. I'm glad that I see you again.
After more than a month in Bali, I'm back since last night. There was a late flight. I was supposed to come back to Singapore like 2 nights ago, but I couldn't. I was a little bit sick, so I thought maybe I need to make sure that I don't have COVID before I come back to Singapore. So I went through all the PCR tests, and the antigen tests become negative. They basically rebook my tickets and come back to Singapore. And of course, I have to pay 2 overstay in Bali. That cost a bit of money, but I think at the end I came back, so that was the most important thing.
Welcome home.
I know. And the funny thing about it is, when I was leaving yesterday, Bali was raining, started to rain. And that's not supposed to be the season that's raining. And today they're still raining. But right now, look at it in Singapore. 29 degrees Celsius, sunshine, blue sky. Great vibe, actually.
I think it does wonders when you come out to the outdoor.
Yeah.
And it's Friday, so you kind of have a TGIF moment before everybody else. So I really love it. You can see so many people. They are already gearing up for the weekend. Can really feel the energies going on there.
I have not seen you for a while, for more than 4 weeks. How was your April and May, actually?
May, there were a lot of things that happened. I think in the last 2 episodes, we kind of talked about Singapore opening up. So I had a lot of gatherings with friends and family, spent quality time with them.
Yeah.
So that's something I treasure a lot. After 2 years of a lockdown environment, finally you can meet up in a group of more than 5, 8 or 10 right now.
Doing lots of socializing in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, and more to come.
I think that's kind of like the phenomenon right now here in Singapore, right? Because most of the Asian country, they started to open up more.
Yeah.
I think apart from Japan.
Now, there were news that came out yesterday about Japan that tour groups are allowed to go and visit by the end of this year.
Right.
So I would expect that a lot of tourists, they will be looking out for the air tickets and fly into wherever in Japan. I mean,
summer in Japan, is it fun? I've never been to summer in Japan before. Because every time we go, that was always in winter time, during Chinese New Year.
winter or late winter and early spring.
Yeah, kind of, right?
Yeah.
It also depends on which region you go in Japan. Anyway, that's quite nostalgic because we always go there once a year, right?
Yeah.
I have not been there for
It's
the
like
last
a
2
pilgrimage
years.
kind of thing, yeah.
I know. For the skiing part, it's amazing. And the onsen.
The
and
food,
ramen.
the people.
I got to do it next year.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to be back home, to be honest. Everything functions.
Whoa, what do you mean? You mean Bali doesn't
No, Bali
function?
functions as well, but just different level. You know, Bali is more like there's beauty in the chaos.
Right?
Yeah, Singapore, there's another kind of beauty.
But building in the order, yeah.
Yeah, there's like orders, you know, like different vibe, you see. So I'm quite happy to have this change. I mean, I was quite sad yesterday when I was boarding to leave Bali because, you know, I could know some people over there. There was a certain routine that I established for myself. The morning sunrise walk along the beach, Perawa, Perainan Beach, or Batu Bolong, or the sunset walk, you know, surfing, yoga, rice fields, different eateries and stuff like that. So I really had a great time, I must say.
You know, now you're back, it seems to me like you kind of miss that place. You know, we were talking about you spending some time in Asia in a year, some time elsewhere in Europe or wherever you want to be.
Yeah.
Do you think that other than Singapore, Bali, it's already making into the list already?
Yes. And I think it's so easy. It's really easy to connect Singapore and Bali because Bali to Singapore is only 2 hours and 40 minutes one way by flight. So you just watch one movie and you're there. So it's quite easy flight. I like it a lot. But I think next time when I fly, I will try to fly during the morning or afternoon so I can see the island. Last night I was flying, everything was dark. Couldn't film anything or watch anything. You know?
Oh, you mean enjoy the coastline,
Yeah,
that
like,
kind of thing?
And then also I specifically choose a window seat, but I forgot about the timing. It was so stupid, right? So coming to our topic for our episode 9, we're coming to this place already. I think our system is slowly coming to places. We've been sending our materials to the editor. They are doing their best to produce the result that we want. So I think it's quite good that we are progressing, you know?
This deserves a fist bump.
Just one? One more?
One more.
Okay, let's get to the topic. Today, what's your words?
This week, I think for me, it should be social undermining.
What do you mean by social undermining?
I have been thinking about this word because of the wedding that I attended last week. Remember at the end of last week's episode, I was saying that the following day, I'm going for a friend's wedding, right? Last Saturday, I went for the wedding because I happened to be one of the groomsmen. Because they are Chinese, so what they do is they go through the Chinese customary thing.
Chinese from China?
No, right?
Singaporean, okay.
Yeah, Singaporean Chinese. So they have to go and wean the bride in the morning, and then they do have to do the tea ceremony, all this kind of stuff. So as a groomsman, you're supposed to help out with that.
Right.
So I started the day around like 5 in the morning, and then I went over to another groomsman's place to have breakfast, to get ourselves ready, dressed up, and then we went over and start the day. Everything was great. And then here comes the alcohol part, which resulted in me having the word social undermining. 2 hours before the banquet in the evening is going to start, everything is almost ready. We gathered together to have a rundown of the program for the banquet. It was just a groomsman anyway, so I just asked the groom casually, "Hey man, do you have a plan for your alcohol?" Then he looked at me and he was like saying, "Of course, Mike. I know which alcohol goes to who at which table." So I was saying to him, "Bro, that's great. You know, you have all this thing planned out, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking about how is your alcohol consumption strategy for yourself so that you will not get drunk." And then the rest of the groomsmen looked at me and said, "Yeah, dude, do you think about that?"
So it's the strategy you're talking about?
Yes.
All right.
And the groom looked at all of us. Honestly, no. I just thought that I'll probably get drunk, dead drunk tonight.
Yeah.
And all of us were just like, dude, that's not the way. You know, if tonight is the night that your parents and her parents are gunning for a grandson or granddaughter, that's not the way to go.
Oh, that's usually when it happens.
Kinda.
On the first night, you just got to score.
We started to decide, you know, kind of discuss a little bit what are the code words they're going to have for each other when the grooms cannot take it anymore. So the code word was pineapple. He came out with a strategy to say that he will link up with the banquet's manager to get the banquet staff to serve tea so that you will look brown, very much like how whiskey and brandy, all this kind of thing is going to look like. I told him that, you know, from my experience, that's not going to work because most of the time, alcohol will be poured by the guest at
on the table. At the table,
Yeah. So there's no way you can run, you know. Maybe you can run a glass to 2, but you cannot run for like 10 or 20, you see. So then that's where I suggested to him, like, all right, so the code word is pineapple. And we asked him, how many glasses of like whiskey can you drink? And he's like, maybe around 6 neat, that's it. So we were like, okay, dude, that's not gonna help. We kind of know like who are the friends sitting at which table and who are the family members and who are the family friends. We try to play the sympathy card, like, you know, he's drunk and all this kind of, try to talk it out. And if we sense that he's not going to work, he's going to like basically fall, not able to tolerate anymore, we'll just take the drink and take it. So that's where you start to be more pushy. And one thing I've learned from my previous experience as groomsman is that you have to be proactive. You don't wait for the attack. You attack and you don't defend when things get out of hand. You gotta.
So it means that you become like an active role in holding on the situation.
Yes, you lead, and then you need a wingsman, which is another groomsman to help, and then so that the groom will be not the focus anymore.
So that means you just step over and say, "Oh, okay, cheers."
Yeah. So you know, it's a little bit like rah-rah. You know, like you go there and then you're like, I'll drink it for him. You know, hey, you're not drinking, then you pour. The funny thing was, there were like 15 tables. The first 10 tables, they were all basically family, the male and the female side. Nobody pushed drinks to them at all.
Really?
Yeah.
They're also civilized.
Very thoughtful, you know, in a positive manner. But anyway. So towards the last 5, they were essentially colleagues or former colleagues or even friends. The place that things are gonna get crazy, right? When the entire gang came to our table, one of our friends, he was like, "Hey guys, the whole night, you guys as groomsmen, you're trying to protect the groom. That's not the way it should be. You know, you should let him get drunk." And that's where we start to have this conversation about who is sensible, who is not sensible. Why are you trying to undermine your friend when you're supposed to protect him or her? The first thought that we have was like, wow, this guy is really an asshole, man. His argument was this: everyone is so serious as an adult, right? So you need to let loose. And this is one of the best occasions you let loose. Your wife, your husband, your parents, they will not say anything.
Right.
The best opportunity for you to get dead drunk. Our counter argument to him was, that's not the case. You need to preserve your energy for something more important. And if that's the case, you shouldn't even get drunk. We were like having a heated debate about that. We say that we are sensible, but to him, we are not sensible. He's the sensible one. So how then do you make this judgment? At the end, there was no conclusion. But then that set me thinking for the next couple of days about social undermining. Basically, there's a little bit of psychology behind things. First, you think about your self-identity. All these are very intuitive. You don't think actively about it.
Okay.
But when you reflect and review about it, then you start to think, the self-identification part is different.
Yeah.
So for our side, whose argument is, we got to protect this person. Yeah, we are trying to show social support in terms of action, donating our liver. In that manner, we are going to try to help this person through action and giving him constructive advice. So that's what we identify ourselves in terms of self-identification. The other friend of ours who say that the groom should get drunk, his self-identification is to have fun. Because he said the key word, we are all adults. Too serious about stuff.
Yeah.
This will be the best opportunity, in his opinion, to let loose. So that social mind is in the differences in the social identification resulted in a dissonance in the mind of both sides, you see. So then that's where people start to come together that, okay, debate, argue about it, and then one side will try to spread this negative opposite thought. That's a definition to social minding where I looked up. Basically, is to spread negative things, thoughts, ideas to the other party in a passive-aggressive manner.
Like, what's your take from this situation?
I still stand by the value of trying to protect a friend, you know. It's a little bit like mother hen.
Because the thing is, if that's how you argue, you bring it to a very pessimistic and negative kind of definition. But if that guy who suggested that used the social undermining as the term and they apply to you, because from his perspective, you
it's
guys
the same, right? It's a mirror image.
Yeah, you guys are protecting him, but not necessarily letting him enjoy the traditional experience. You know what I mean?
I use the word social undermining here, and it's a very mild one. A lot of time when people talk about social undermining, one key thing that comes about is at workplace. Bullying, trying not to give you certain information so you cannot complete your work, so that you look poorly in front of your manager. So those what social psychologists and organizational behavior specialists will look into.
Right.
But on a friend setting, that's where it's a little bit milder. But I still feel that social undermining, or to some extent, if you want to lessen the degree of it, the extent, then probably it's like social pressure.
Under social undermining or / social pressure, how you react, the reaction part, it definitely depends on what you believe in, your values, where do you stand on the point
I
of
agree
view,
with that point, and it's also about motivation and the goals you set out for that particular thing. Like my friend, the groom, he did mention he doesn't want to get drunk. Therefore, we came out with this plan, we crafted out this plan to execute it with him. He made his stand very clear. So when the other friend of ours came in who took on an opposite position, naturally we know that's going against his wishes, right?
Okay, I want to bring this to a bit further because you're only applying to this story, which is good. But then if you're talking about social undermining and peer pressure, if let's say we bring it to the work level or even to the school level, how would you react to that?
The first thing comes to your mind is bullying, right?
Yeah, exactly. How would you approach this? It's just that most of the people want to stay in a group and do what other people want them to do. That's how the peer pressure. But as you're growing up, it is important for you to stand by your own values and what you believe in. Should you be the black sheep out, you be it. That's my opinion. Because you shouldn't let people dictate how you think and what you do. Because when you believe in certain things that you truly believe in, you should just speak out.
This concept as an extension to this entire social undermining, which is essentially this categorization of social groups. So there will be an in-group and there'll be an out-group. The in-group is essentially the in-favor one. Then the out-group will be those that are of the opposite position, right? So this difference is what we talk about is essentially what each camp will call that as stereotype.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I think let's just talk about when we are adult. I think as a kid, you're trying to figure things out. And as you grow older and you reflect, you do know there is this social stratification in terms of the grouping, and there is also power. I think in life it's very difficult to avoid power, this topic. It's just depending on how do you want to navigate with this power. Choosing the in-group for yourself is important. I think a couple of episodes back, we talked about community. As an individual, you need to look for this in-group that you are comfortable. Factors like your values. Do you vibe with this group? Are you culturally similar?
Yeah.
Or are you very different? The way of doing things. So these are the different factors that will help one to identify which group they belong to and therefore becoming the in-group. Long story short, really, the answer is find the right group. Through that process, you will hit a lot of walls along the way. People will tell you that no, this is not the way to go. And these are the people who are out-group. There's a caveat to this. How do you prevent yourself to be in a situation where it's tunnel vision or echo chamber? That means the group that keep going to feed you with that kind of information or their mindset such that you kind of lost yourself inside.
Right.
And you do not know that it's bad. So I think that is the tricky part, which I'm still exploring.
But don't you think that if that's the case, if the individual is at that stage, it means that that person does not know himself or herself that well, because then he or she is kind of easily being influenced by others.
I guess so. I don't deny that. But the way I look at it is, it's a phase kind of thing, right? You know, more often than not, you'll hear that, oh, somebody's going through a quarter life crisis, or some people just take like, you know, I'm lost in life. I need to take a gap year. I need to go on a sabbatical to really understand a little bit more about yourself. So if you imagine to be like a graph, this is time. This is where your growth is. You grow up, you find out a lot about yourself, feel very confident, and you reach a plateau. And that's the time where you're trying to reflect, oh, is this a group that I want? This is a good experience, and then do I still want to continue in this, or do I want to go somewhere else? And that's a period where you're a little bit shaky. So I see it more in terms of phase against time rather than a standstill kind of thing that you do not know yourself. That's the way I look at it.
Are there any practical steps or tips that you would like to share?
When you realize this is not an environment that is suitable, and therefore you take the exit door and find the next destination for yourself. A very common word that we always hear will be street smart. You got to be like water, very fluid, adapt, don't offend anyone. But it's so easy to be said than done.
For me, it's more like when I do certain things that I see differently, I'll raise my voice. I don't want to just keep it within me, because I know that once I keep it inside of me, at some point you're going to explode. But of course, they can reject, but I say out loud so they know exactly where I stand. You get what I mean?
I get you.
Yeah. I
believe in life you will meet a lot of people who are more dominating than you do. There's many different ways to approach that. I think back then when I was a little bit younger, I would always take non-confrontational approach. I would just, okay, let's go. Over the years, you do realize that you need to make your stand known. And that's when the next problem comes, which is you will need to have the next move in mind when you stand up for yourself. You need to be very sure what you are standing up for. That means defend your ground. A lot of times people choose to be non-confrontational. It might be also because on one end they're just too sick and tired. They just do not want to engage. But on the other end they're just too afraid because they do not know how then to approach this more dominating type of person. There will definitely be a situation where you offend this particular one. After you raise your voice, talk to this person multiple times and it's still not getting a message across, then you know this is not the kind of people that you're going to work with. It's not that they're wrong, it's just that it's not suitable. It'd be great if you can reach a consensus and then you shake hands, let's move on. But if you can't, then you know, okay, let's just not waste time. Let's just move on.
If it's for me, I'd rather walk away because I just don't like to handle people like that. I mean, I did it many years before in my corporate world, but I just, at the end of the day, you just feel so down. You cannot really preserve or maintain your own energy. And once you don't have that, it's really hard for you to perform. So my approach towards the end is that I don't like it. I will really tell you, I will let you know why you shouldn't do things like this.
I realized that, after talking to you for the past couple of episodes, energy is important to you.
It is, because I get very drained, when I need to deal with people like that. And then you don't sleep well, and then you eat rubbish because you're anxious, you're nervous, you're thinking about how you should deal with a person like that. And basically your lifestyle is upside down. You can be in control, but then you're just merely surviving. Why? Just for a few $1,000s? I mean, is it really worth it? If you don't have your health, you have nothing.
I would love to hear some of the comments, experiences from the audience. How do you approach this kind of thing in your daily lives? Let us know. Anyway, how about you?
So my word for this week is belonging. Why is it so important that we need to feel a sense of belonging? Because I was using the example of me when I arrived in Bali. I spent the first 2 days setting myself up, with the local SIM card, renting a motorbike, signing up for co-working space, signing up for CrossFit membership, signing up for some nuts and bolts over there so I can start functioning in Bali. Throughout the whole process, I feel really lonely. I enjoy my own solitude, but then all of a sudden I feel like I do have this need. I would like to socialize with people, to be part of a group, to really experience certain things, which at the end of my stay in Bali, I did manage that. I was in a very supportive group.
Like-minded
people, yeah. So for instance, I'll be working and I'll say, hey, do you want to go for ice cream tonight? Then 2 other people say, yeah, let's go for 8 p.m. and stuff like that. And those are the things I really enjoy because you work hard for the whole day and then you have this little magical moments, just sharing the ice cream, have a quick chat, what's happening today, how was the workout for you in the morning and stuff like that. I love that kind of sense of belonging there. That's why I'm asking why is there a need for belonging? Why as a human being do we need to belong?
I'm thinking along the line of some sort like a validation. I think validation, there are 2 types, right? One is self-validation. The other type is a social validation. About the social validation that comes in the common experience that you go through, that common memories and activity will bond you.
I have absolutely no problem just to go and buy an ice cream for myself and just eat, at a park or, I have no problem doing that. I have no problem doing stuff with myself in the whole Bali experience. I was traveling by myself and I want to share that experience, that memory with someone, like riding a motorbike from Canggu all the way to Uluwatu. I remember that day, every single moment, what we have done, which beach we have gone to, and which warung we have been. It's such a moment, it's so much nicer to share with people around instead of you doing it by yourself.
I do agree with that point because there are times where I travel with friends and I'll be like, oh, it will only be good that the family is here because I know very well that particular place, for instance, you'll love it. In Singapore, when I go to nature, let's say I go and hike with mom, right?
Yeah.
Then I'll be like, oh, both of us enjoy it. I'll end off like, I know Henry will love this place. A lot of time is, if you already know somebody, you want to share that place, memory with this person so that you kind of belong together. So when you go in a blank state, knowing no one, you try to find, hey, where's my group? And when you first identify about this group, that's where we talk about just now, right? The in-group, what's the common factors? Whether you can vibe with this one.
But you made a point, I think belonging, in this case, social validation, is that common experience, a common memory you want to create.
And something that you hold dear to and the other person in response also believe in it.
But if you want to go deeper in that, why do we need to bond and why do we need to group together? Is it because as a group we are stronger? Okay, if you bring back to the Stone Age, I can imagine that for survival purpose, if you have more people, you have more chances of surviving, correct?
Yes.
But if you extend it to modern world, you put that concept on, it still makes sense. But the thing is, why? Is it really for survival purpose?
A lot of time we talk about pets at home, domestic pets like dog, cats, they are domesticated already. But one day, if you really throw them into the wild, that natural self will still come back to survive. So maybe this is somewhere inside us.
We're just social animals.
Yeah. There's always this saying, right, that no man is an island, no woman is an island. You need to socialize. One can enjoy solitude, for sure. But there's only so much you can do and you still hope that you have some kind of
connection
people. Somewhere.
What do you guys think? Come to an end to our Henri and Mike What's a Word. This week is about social undermining and belonging. And we all came back from our own journey for the last 3 or 4 weeks, which is really nice to come out today to East Coast Park under this great weather and really breezy and windy to do our recording for episode 9. I hope you guys also enjoyed that. With this, we'll come to a conclusion for this episode. Be kind to yourself, take care of each other, and don't forget to smile. We shall see you in the very next episode. And perhaps we'll do it outdoor as well, somewhere in Singapore. Stay tuned and see you next time. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Cheers.
But honestly, bro.
Sorry.
Oh, what happened?
Okay.